So we'll get started. We got a presentation by Ken. He has a new job. He's not only our #1 troubleshooter in the computer club, he's also the director of technical director at Huntley Radio 2. So he'll be giving us talk on how computers are involved in the radio station. There's our money. We're gaining a little bit now with the dues coming in, so everything's going to be fine. The pantry, I didn't get a number this month. We'll get it next month, but it was about the same. We're up a little bit, 30 new members in the month, and that'll drop next month when we get our our list from all the paid members will be a little less, but it'll come back in as their computer fails. As a reminder, our renewal is now, this month, and it ends before our next meeting. So if you wait to the next meeting, you'll be paying $25 instead of $10 to renew. So let's get the word out. We got the word to everybody on our newsletter and everything we can possibly do. We're running a little slow on re-upping. I don't know if we have to, they all want to do it, but they all procrastinate. And it's amazing the number of people that'll show up the first in July and say, oh, I'm here. Can I get it for the low rate? We have to have a cutoff date, and the date is the end of the month. So be sure that you have your card with you when you come in to pay your dues. And the computer repair in the lab is limited to your personal computers. Try not to bring in your kids and your friends next door, everybody else. We do see that sometimes it's a problem. We very rarely will kick you out. But, you know, it just tries to make it, the rule is it's your computer.
Bring your password with it.
Yeah, bring your password book, your little black book with all your passwords. Bring that too. It's important that we can get in. It's amazing how many times we go to email and they can't remember what the password is on an email account that just, you know, it's automatic. Every time you turn on the computer every day, it loads it in and you don't know it. Monthly newsletter. I'm not going to ask today how many didn't get it, but we do have some that still aren't getting it. We're still scratching our head. If you're new, it might take a little bit while to get it, but it should be, you should be getting it every month. If you didn't, come into the lab and let us know.
Is this a computer problem?
No, it's a problem. We don't know whose problem it is. It ain't ours, really. Well, it could be on a new person. They might not have their membership on the website. You got to have your profile right. That's one thing is very important for all communications from the association. So here's a little tip on Picasa. We had a last month's meeting. I talked about how you can integrate the two between Picasa and Google Photos. And if you're running Picasa and you just fixed up your pictures to the latest edition, you know, and you didn't save them. This is I always said, you know, don't save them. You don't need to worry about it because you're going to show them in Picasa, you're going to print it in Picasa, you're going to use it in Picasa, and you'll know what it is, what fixes you made to the photos. But now, if you run the program from Google's program that you can get online that will download those pictures to your all the pictures on your computer to the website. It'll take the pictures that are in the file. So you want to be sure to have the latest picture that you fixed. So here's what you have to do, just as a reminder. You have to go in there, and at the top where a circle is, you press that little, you open up a folder, and look and see if that disk symbol is highlighted. If it isn't highlighted, those pictures are all okay. They're all this current edition is what you didn't change anything on the pictures, but most likely you'll find it's highlighted. Just click on it, and that'll get you to this. It'll just go and back. It'll give a message that's going to back up your picture files, and it'll tell you how many pictures are being saved. Then you can go, and when it's done, you can click on the file up there in the corner, and that will bring up this screen. It goes to the spot where the files were stored, and it'll show them to you. And those pictures should be the same pictures now that you had in Picasa. And you could make a note of that address, and then you know you did that, you fixed that directory. You just go down the list of all your folders, just save them. Then you can get this new program from Google Photo that will take all your pictures on your computer and put them on the web, back up, and it will work fine. Now, if you had made a lot of stories and you made albums, it may not be, then it's best to come to the lab and we'll talk about how you can preserve all your libraries or albums that you made. This is for the person who just fixed the pictures and left them in there, and they don't have a story made up of the pictures. A lot of people are like this. They just wanted to fix them up and they wanted to show them, they showed them. So it's a good simple way of getting all your work you did in Picasa saved, and it will transfer up to the website. How many people played with Google Photos? Google Photos? Okay. I would say that most of you will find it be very addictive to go out or at home sitting on the chair looking at your phone. If you got a tablet or a smartphone, all your pictures you ever took in your lifetime can be there at a one swipe away. It's amazing that you can have all of your pictures on your phone. They're not really on your phone, they're in the cloud, so it doesn't load your phone up with a lot of stuff. So that's the story on that tip. And we got one more on Windows 10. Windows has got aggressive marketing on trying to get 10 to you, and they've made another one. You all seen the one where it said, download it today, tomorrow, and you usually click the red X and it go away. This one, I wouldn't click the red X in the corner up there, or the OK. The only place you want to click is where it says, click here to change the time you want it or cancel. You click that one, you'll get a spot where it says, I don't want it. Ignore it, or don't do it. But it's very deceiving. The reports say, and I haven't proven it yet, if you click the red X, it's the same thing as clicking OK.
Yep.
So you got to go to that line that says click here, which is right below Monday, and you're out of it. You can get out of it on the next screen. It's very simple to get out, but they trick you into not reading all the details.
Why,
Yeah.
why don't you want to upgrade?
A lot of people just don't want it because if you got an old computer, anything more than about 2 years old, it's not really always going to be 100% working.
If you've got Windows 7
Yeah.
and you go to upgrade to 10, it's sort of like playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Yeah.
Most of the time it'll go, but if you don't update all of your drivers and back up all of your data, you're in for hours and hours of repair.
Yeah. So don't worry about the fact that the Windows is going to run out of the free version of Windows 10 because you'll buy a new computer in say a year from now, and it'll have Windows 10 on it. It won't cost you any more than it would have if you know. So you're not going to have to pay $120 or $110 for Windows 10. Most likely ever, you'll get it free when you buy a new computer. So when you get a new computer, it's a lot better going that route than it is to go updating. Updating works 90% on, I'd say 98, 99% on new computers or 2-year-old computers. When you get a 3, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, that's when problems start developing. And it doesn't pay to do it because Windows 7 runs just as good. And Windows 10 is, unless you're really a fanatic on new features, and we find that the average crowd here is not very good at new features. So you're better off just living on 7, and you know how to work it, and it'll work fine.
Frank,
Yeah.
on mine, and I have an old computer, it said, we have downloaded 10 on your computer.
Yeah.
And then it gives you the thing that you have to accept, read this and accept it. And they gave me a choice of accept and not accept, and I didn't accept it, and it went, okay, I'll give you your old program back.
Yeah. That's if you most likely clicked on this thing, it said you must have clicked OK or some similar device, and it started to download. If you say you won't accept the rules of the agreement, it'll go back to your original program and won't go into installation fields.
The other thing you should know, if you have Windows 7, Microsoft will support that for 5 more years. If you've got Windows 7.
Questions at the end.
Is it on? If you have Windows 7, Microsoft is going to support that for 5 more years. You've already used it for a lot of years now. You're very comfortable with it. It'll do almost everything that 10 will do. Unless you have some features from 10 that you're familiar with and you really want to get those features, like the reading list or the Edge browser or one of the other features, don't even think about changing Windows 7 to 10. When it works, it's fine. When it doesn't work, you got a 2 to 3 hour fix on the computer.
At least. Yeah. Let me get the mic over here.
They said,
Who was the?
to forget it, you would go from 7 to 10.
Oh, Tony.
But I hit the end, and I didn't pay any attention. It's going to be a long session. So now I got to go.
I'm just curious, could we have a show of hands of people who have 10 that are having problems with 10? I've had 10 since the first week, and I haven't had no problems with it. Now, who has 10 and has had problems with it? Who's got 10 and doesn't have any problems with it? I think we're killing a dead horse, folks. I don't know if 10 is that bad.
No, it isn't bad. It's just that it creates, it creates a problem when you don't need a problem. That's what we're saying. it's not that big of an improvement, and most likely you won't use the new features very often.
You get about 3 of them in the lab every
Yeah, we had 3 last week that were a problem. We agree that it doesn't affect everybody at all. In most of the cases, if you had a computer that's 2 or 3 years old, it will work. But there is problems sometimes.
Is it true that you have to replace Microsoft Office every year or pay monthly on it?
One version, yearly. Yearly subscription on Microsoft is $365, Windows Office 365, and it's about $100, $10, $30, $79 for one copy of the full Office suite for a year. That's what's going to happen to Windows too. Somewhere down the road, it'll be a subscription service. At least that's what all the indications are.
Can we move on?
Yeah. We'll hold the rest of it till we get to questions. Don't worry about you got another, it's July 29th when the free version of Windows goes away. So, if you're brave, say yes. Okay. Okay, we'll have Jeff come up and tell us a little bit about the PhotoSig group. Down.
We currently have over 30 members in the photo group. And if you haven't joined, consider, and keep in mind that the people in the group have everything from a high-end professional camera down to a pocket point and shoot, or someone just shooting with their phone. We have 2 shows coming up. We have a show in the month of July in the library, a 10 photo show, and then we have a 12 photo show at the PNC Bank building in the foyer right across the street from the main entrance in August. I'm going to show you just real quickly the photos. They won't look as good on the monitor. And if you're interested, the framed photos for the library show are on the table in the back corner, so if you want to see what the actual printed photo looks like. But I thought I'd just real quickly show you the photos that were selected. The photos were selected by Al Pop, who is the president of the Crystal Lake Camera Club. We made sure that none of us picked the photos. And these will be the 12 photos that were selected for the PNC show in August. It's the bean if you're not familiar with it. Thank you.
Ralph. Ready?
Boy, do I have good news for all you people that got Windows 10. We're having training classes, and they're getting full. Yeah, really, I'm going to try to schedule a Windows 10 training class at least once a month for the balance of the year. And I know some people say, well, it's supposed to start at 1 o'clock, and I got here 1:45 and it was already going. Yeah, you know what? We can only get 40 in the lab. And once it's full, we just have to shut the door and start the class. And it even happens in the evening. So if you really want to take the class, I would suggest you get there a half an hour to 45 minutes ahead of the time it's going to be scheduled, and you'll get in the classroom. We're not listing the classes that I'm going to have the balance of June. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. On the 15th, we're going to have a session on QuickBooks, and some people say, well, that's a business. Well, if you got your tax bill, you might want to go into business because you need that to pay the bill. But anyway, Joanna's going to be talking a lot, about QuickBooks, and it can be adapted to home use too. So if you're interested, 1 o'clock on June the 15th. And then on the 16th at 6:30, we're going to have social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. We're going to be talking all about social media. June the 20th, using Windows 10, that's going to be 6:30, and it's on a Monday, so mark that down. And then I just found out today, I thought Frank's last name was Picasso. It's actually Frankster. Frank's going to do another program on Google Photos and Picasso. And that's going to be, we just penciled it in right now, 1 o'clock on Monday, June the 13th. And then in July, I've also got a class scheduled on the 14th on Thursday the 14th on Windows 10. Now, we've had a lot of changes in classes. We only got so many instructors, and sometimes they get sick, and sometimes something comes up, and we have to change classes. So always watch your email, because Jim Nelson has been really good about sending out reminder emails 3 to 5 days ahead of the classes, and if there's a change, it's on there. I've had people come to me and say, well, you got a class schedule, and what happened to it? Well, they got sick. What are we going to do? But and it's going to be listed in the lab. There's on the bulletin board. There's a listing of the classes. It's also going to be on the monitors. So we're trying to get it out to you without making phone calls. But just watch that and stay in touch, and hopefully we'll continue to have big classes. So we're averaging about 25 per class now, which is really good. One other thing, still need help. Still need help, particularly with instructors or help for instructors. We're looking at the same 11 or 12 people, and you say, well, we need more classes, more classes. They're getting tired. Yeah, so if you've got any knowledge at all you'd like to share with your neighbor, contact me, and we'll talk about some classes maybe you could put on. They don't have to be 3 or 4 hours or 2 hours, whatever. A 45-minute class maybe would be adequate for some subjects, but we need to move into some new items and quit rerunning a lot of things. So on this table and the one in the back, and also out where you're registered, I have one of these sheets that you can sign up if you're interested. I'll call you and we'll talk about it, and hopefully we'll get some people to sign up. Thanks.
Thank you, Ruck. Okay, community, there is our community matters. Next, the committee of the whole meets July 6th, because they met the other day in June. Next board meeting is the 15th, and there's going to be an executive director meet and greet. It's a different time than normal, and a location is different. It's in one of the room down at the Prairie View Center, the big room, I think it is. The Birch Room, we all know that, right? Where the Birch Room is? I know. They're going to force us into learning that. You're going to have to know the birch, what's the other one? The computer room, Cedar, and there's another one.
Oak.
No, that one we know. There's 3 of them. Hickory. So that's your test for next week. Next month we'll have a question on where is the Hickory room. First one to get the answer will get Windows 10.
Thanks a lot.
One of the things I could add to that is there is a new program they're going to try. The exercise in here will be open at 5:30 in the morning for a 2-month trial in July and August. So any of you people that really have to get up in the morning could be Meadowview only. So also they're going. I'll have more of it next month with the details, but just to give you a heads up, there is a program where Meadowview Pool will have a Sunday swim you'll be able to bring one guest with you. No kids, just adults, to the Meadowview pool. That'll be, again, a 2-month trial. It'll be July and August. And it'll be the $5 fee for the guests on that one. So just to give you a heads up on that's a change that'll take place in July and August. Okay, we're gonna have Ken come up and tell us about Huntley Radio and how the computers have made it big improvement.
Good morning. Wow, 26 minutes for introduction or announcements. That's a long time. Okay, I have gotten involved in Huntley Radio more than I wanted to, but it's been pretty rewarding. I was reluctant, but Alan had approached me a few times to become involved in it, and I said, no, I don't have time. Well, then he approached me once and he said, we just need somebody to be our backup computer tech. I said, well, he said, we have a computer tech, but he travels, he works. And I said, well, I could probably do that. So I met with the computer tech one time, and that was the last time we saw him. I didn't see that coming. And then through some other, one of our other of the technical director, the person who was the technical director, developed some health issues. He had to step down, so then I became the technical director. So, but I'm also still the computer tech too, so I've got 2 jobs. The idea for a radio station was conceived in 2008 by Alan Pollock. He and his wife were traveling, they were vacationing in Florida, and they went to the Villages, and the Villages has a radio station. They also have a TV station, I guess. And they spent a few days there, and Alan got to say, well, maybe Sun City should have a radio station. So he went and he talked to the manager of the radio station down at the Villages and got some ideas, came back and he put together a plan, and I guess he presented it to the communications committee at that time. And they voted against doing that. Alan had some thoughts about maybe using the gatehouse for a radio station, but fortunately that fell through because there's not enough room there. So planning began in 2009 when he got together with Dorothy Litwin, who's another Sun City resident, and they put together a plan for a low-power FM station, which is what they have in the Villages. And they talked to the executive director of RLR, which is Round Lake Radio. I'm going to be meeting with him tomorrow morning for breakfast. He's giving us some equipment. So they developed this plan, and then decided, okay, we need to go further with it. So they talked to different groups, looked for a place to do the radio station. They looked at various places, and a place to install the antenna. Well, they decided that Dyke Park, or the Park District there, was a good central location for it, so they went and talked to Tom Palmer, and Tom Palmer said, well, yeah, we can talk about that, but you need some office space. So Alan said, yeah. So we ended up renting out the old Park District offices in Dyke Park after they moved to the Cosman Center. So they were, when they started out, it was just streaming over the internet. It was an internet-only radio station. But they purchased equipment, and they had to prove that it was okay, and they had applied to the FCC for a low-power FM license. Low power means you can only go 6-7 miles. And in October of 2014, they got approval, and we started broadcasting. Now, currently, the Huntley radio station has 60 unique programs. Many of them that maybe we can't tell how many people are listening to the radio. We can tell how many people are listening to the stream on the internet, but on the radio, we don't know. How many people here have listened to the radio? Oh, quite a few. Good. That's good to hear. There's a lot of good programming there. I say there's programs for everyone. Different kinds of music. Some of it I don't like, but I shouldn't say that. So there are 60 unique programs. There's 51 hosts of those programs. So some of them have multiple shows. There's about 20 volunteers, including the interns. This is truly a community radio station. We have some middle school kids that have done radio programs. We have some high school kids that have done radio programs. We have interns from McHenry County College. And some of those interns have gone on. One of them is working in Milwaukee, doing some part in broadcasting the Milwaukee Brewers baseball games. And so 20 volunteers, plus the members of the executive board, which I am now an executive board member, and our advisory board, which I'll show you a list of. There's some pretty impressive names on our advisory board. And our technical staff, which includes me too. Total estimated HCR volunteers is close to 100. So that Rediscover Radio. I found this on the internet. It's part of an ad for a ham radio, software-defined radio company. But I thought it was really cute, and it's appropriate. Rediscover Radio. When I started with this, I thought, well, I should listen to this radio station. And I thought, well, where do I have? I have a radio in my receiver by my TV, but my wife is usually watching TV. I can't listen to that. So I had to go find a radio. Besides, I could listen to it in my car, but I'm not in my car that much. So I had to go out and buy a radio. So I think a lot of people are rediscovering radio. But that was a cute picture. Those kids are pretty funny. The Huntley radio history. The idea was conceived in 2008. Planning started in 2009. Started streaming over the internet only. That shifted. September 28th, 2012. FCC approval. In 2014, and we started broadcasting as soon as we got the approval. We did a radio in the park show last year. If anyone had gone to the fireworks at the Park District, we were there. We had a stage set up, and we were playing music out to the crowd that was in the Cosmo Center parking lot. And then we also had some speakers up on the hill playing down to the crowd that was in the grass. And we're also broadcasting that over the internet. Now that one we were using a cell phone actually to get the voice when the guys were talking back to the station. It was a digital data connection that we were using the cell phone for, but we were getting that back. And then we did some of the Huntley high school football games. It's not easy to say. The first one we did was Huntley High School had an undefeated season last year, and towards the end of the season, they played Jacobs High School, which is another high school within our listening area. So this was a hotly contested game because I think they were both undefeated at that point. So somebody was going to go away with defeat, and fortunately Huntley had won that and they moved on to the playoffs. That was our first game, and we had that game. I know we had a lot of listeners because even on the internet, where usually there's only a handful of listeners, we had about 77 listeners on the internet. There was somebody in South America that was listening to the football game. So obviously relatives of some of the kids on the football team, but pretty good participation. I don't know, is this mouse work?
Laser printer? Laser printer?
I don't know. No, I need to.
The news, updates, and all the happenings from come. We high school sports on 101.5 FM, Huntley Community Radio. When the game is over, check out our program guide at HuntleyRadio.com for some of the finest local music and talk shows. Many hosted by Huntley residents. Each weekday morning, we start your day off with a live and local morning show called Mike in the Morning, hosted by Mike Casano, with local news, updates, and all the happenings from around Huntley. Mike in the Morning. Each weekday evening at 6, we wrap up all the current events from the day with the evening news hosted by Phil Gary.
Here are some of the stories we are tracking this evening.
This is the one place to keep you informed and connected, on air and online. 101.5 FM, Huntley Community Radio, and HuntleyRadio.com.
Now the voice, the announcer on that is a local person that lives in Huntley. I don't believe he's in Sun City, but most of the things that are done on there sound very professional. I mean, the announcer is very professional, and most of the shows are pretty professional. So I just thought to play that clip. That was part of the football game that we did. The board of directors, Alan Pollock is the executive director. Kate Curtin has recently become our program director. If anybody has any ideas for creating a radio show, you would contact Kate. And if you go to the website under About and Board of Directors, the email addresses are all there, so you can email her directly. Ann Knipp is our treasurer. I'm the technical director, and William Guerin is the marketing director. Now, our board of advisors, we have an advisory board. People that we have, I think it's just quarterly meetings with them. But Dr. John Berkey, the superintendent of the school district, some big names here. Kelly Hazenfield, she is from the Centegra Health System. Dave Johnson, the village manager. Carol Lowry is branch manager of JP Morgan Bank. Joe Laughlin, he's a Sun City resident. Retired VP and general manager of WGN TV in Chicago, WV TV, Milwaukee. Tom Palmer, the executive director of the Huntley Park District. I just met with him the other day. We were talking about setting up for the 4th of July fireworks event this year. And Orion Samuelson, I think everyone's probably heard of him from WGN Radio. So that's a pretty impressive advisory board to get them all together for quarterly meetings. Somebody's phone's ringing.
Okay, no?
Are we on? Yeah. Okay, I'm being your way over here, but I need to see where I'm going. This is Kreitzer Road, and Walgreens is over here, and here's Mill Street, and here's where the entrance to Dikey Park, and then the Huntley Radio is right here, and our transmitter is down here. Now we put everything on the internet, and we get it right here, and the transmitter out over the radio. This is where we did the radio in the park. This is the Casman Center in the parking lot. So just to give you an idea of where we are in Huntley. Not that important, but you'll see some letters. Okay, here's one of our studios. This is where most of our recordings are done. Just about everything that we do is recorded. Currently, there is nothing that is live. It might sound like it's live, but through the magic of radio, it's all recorded. Now we have the soundboard where you have an engineer that sits here, and he can control the volume levels for all the microphones. He can control the volume level. We have a couple of CD decks. I think I have a better picture of that. We have two computers here. This is the next gen for the top monitor. This is the one to record the shows on. And we also have a telephone there. We have a telephone patch into the board, so we can, if we had a live show, we could take call-ins. I wish the laser worked on the remote, but it doesn't. And then we have, after after the show is recorded, we have an editing station. And the show is recorded two ways, so that we have backup in case something happens. It's recorded to the computer into a program called Adobe Audition, which is a professional audio editing program. Oops. Okay, must have bumped it. And then it's also recorded to a flash drive, just a standard USB flash drive that we plug into one of the devices in the studio, and so it's recorded twice. If anything happens to one recording, we have another one, so we didn't waste our time. Then after it's recorded, it's put onto a server, and then this computer can access the server at an editing station. We have two editing stations, and the editor will sit there and open up the audio, and that's what it looks like. And now, there's a lot of things that the editor needs to do. If there are a lot of long pauses, or if somebody's sitting there, he can remove those pauses or the uhs out of there and make it sound a little more professional. I did something here just as an example. If the audio level was very low, like this, the editor could select all of that audio, or I just selected a portion to show you the difference, and I just amplified it so that it would sound. In the studio, sometimes you have some people talk loud, some people talk quiet, and the engineer can modify that with by cranking up the volume. But if he misses something or somebody shouts into the mic, he can bring it down to a normal level. So we edit it, and you can make those corrections. And then once those corrections are made, it goes into the scheduling system. This is a professional computer too. That we have a person that he was not in any of the other lists. He works for Salem Communications, I believe it is. And this is his job, is to schedule the content. And this is a scheduling program that he has this whole pool of music and shows, and he's told when to schedule things, but he sets it up so that this computer it's like a big playlist on your computer. It just plays the things in order. Now I don't know if you can see, the time I took this picture, it was 2:52 p.m. and I can't even read it from here. At 2:03 it played this announcement, and then at 2:03 it announced the time. The computer automatically, and it sounds like a human voice, it announces the current time is 2:03. And then it just goes on to the next thing, which was the Centegra lecture series, which was an hour-long show. And then it has all these other promo for the show Loud and Proud, and some other announcements that are had to do. So his name is Eric. He sets all these things up in this big playlist and schedules them for certain times of day, and then this program will just play them at the right time. Most of the time, there's nobody at the radio station, which people find hard to believe. We're broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and much of the time, there's nobody there. People will come and go, they'll come in, they'll record a show and leave, and everything just keeps on rolling. This is where I started working. This is the IT closet, the computer and communications closet. We have some Comcast devices here for the phone lines. This is for the internet for Comcast. This is AT&T for internet. We have both Comcast and AT&T for the internet. Comcast was giving us some issues, so we put an AT&T, and it seems like it's been much more solid for us. Now we have three computers here. Only one of them is actually turned on. This one in the middle is the streamer. That's the one that we use to put the content out over the internet. If you go to huntleyradio.com, there's a button there you can click on to listen now, or listen live, I forget what it says, but you can click on that and it'll pop up another window. You click on a play button and you can listen to it over the internet. So you can be anywhere in the world and you can listen to HuntleyRadio.com, which is how the people in South America were listening to it during the football game. So that's how we started. We just had that streamer, and this is our server where everything is stored, and the UPS, and then the monitor and keyboard. That was where we started. And then when we got approval from the FCC, we put in this little cabinet here. And that, I have a better picture. On that cabinet, there's an amplifier up on top. There was a big speaker on top of the other cabinet. The amplifier. This was the car radio that we were using initially to listen to what we were broadcasting. But now we've kind of replaced that with this. This is connected to an antenna, so we're actually sending it out over the internet, and our transmitter is at the tower on Haligus and Chrysler, and our antenna is way up on top, and I think I have a nice picture of that later. But then we have this as a receiver, that we have a receiving antenna in the garage, that we listen to it so we can monitor it, and we're required to monitor it by the FCC, so that we don't broadcast too strong of a signal, too much modulation, and there's a lot of things that we need to monitor. So, and that is accessible by computer. I can connect to it and change settings and see what it shows on the front panel on any computer anywhere in the world. This is just this is a silence monitor. If for some reason something fails and we're not broadcasting anything, that would let us know that we're broadcasting just the carrier, no audio. Currently we're not using that because we're looking at a different way of doing that. Bank of switches. Now this is a Sage and Dyke emergency notification. These two devices work together. This is a receiver that we receive WGN and WBBM AM weather information. Now if they broadcast an emergency alert or even a test of an emergency alert, that device receives that and then sends it to this device, and then that, if it's a real emergency alert, like a tornado alert, this device would break into our transmission and we would broadcast the emergency alert that there's a tornado or something that's imminent. And this device again is all these, like this one and this one, they're not technically computers, but they all have computers in them because, I'm getting a little hungry. Because you can connect to them with a computer and bring up a web page. So there's a computer that's serving that web page to you. But this is what the device, the Sage NDIC emergency notification. And it's pretty sophisticated for a small radio station like this. There's a lot of technology here. So that would break in and alert you that there's an emergency. And that's the emergency broadcast receiver, our audio processing equipment. It just makes the sound better. And audio splitter that just takes our signal that comes from that the one that has like a playlist, and it splits it to these two devices and to the streamer. Now these two, one is for Comcast, one is for AT&T, and those are the devices that put our radio signal, our audio signal, out on the internet, and there's another one like that at the water tower that takes it off the internet and then passes it on to the transmitter. Those are called break links. None of this, we didn't have any of this equipment when I started, and when we were on an internet-only radio station. So we've added all that. Now this is something that we just purchased. This is our new backup transmitter. I'm anxious to put this in the water tower because this has the newer software in it that should work better than what we got now. We got a grant from McHenry County it was for equipment only, so we were able to purchase this. But this again has a computer in it. We can control that. I can get on my phone, I can turn the power up, I can change the frequency, I can broadcast somewhere else. So there's a lot of flexibility built into there through computers. There's a back view. And this, what I said before about transmitting silence, there's a little micro SD card in there that we have 2 hours of programming on, that if for some reason our primary source, if AT&T went down or Comcast went down, or whatever we're using, if that went down and we're not getting any signal to the water tower, this would take over and start to play whatever's on the audio file that we put on that card. So there's a whole list of priorities that we can establish for that. This is looking at the transmitter, and I just happened to capture at one time where the left channel was a little bit high. Usually they're both green, left and right channels, but that's I just connected to it and captured a screenshot. Just we can look at we can get a 24-hour history. We can look at all the temperatures and all kinds of things in the transmitter. We need to put in a power switch. Sometimes the transmitter stops talking to us, and the FCC doesn't like that. You need to be able to control that transmitter all the time. So I found this on the internet, and it's a computer. It's got a network connection, and I can connect to that with any computer or my phone, and it just has 2 outlets. That outlet 1 has the transmitter plugged into it, and outlet 2 has that one device called the BrickLink, and I can turn either or both of them off and on at any time. And this has helped because our transmitter is inside the water tower at Kreutzer and Helgas. We don't have access to that all the time. We can only get in there when the village has people on duty, which is usually 7:30 to 3 o'clock, Monday through Friday. So if we have a problem on Saturday, we can't get to that transmitter. So with this device, if the transmitter is not talking to us, I can connect to this, and I can say, okay, turn the transmitter off, turn it back on, it reboots the transmitter, and okay, it's talking to us again. So the FCC is happy about that. And this is just what the internet interface looks like there. You click on here, you can turn off the transmitter, and here you can turn off the BrickLink. And then this is set up so you click reset, it turns that switch off for 15 seconds, turns back on again. But there's all kinds of things you can check. There's an event log and the current status, you can change the schedule to do things automatically. Okay, to get to the transmitter site, this is inside the water tower. Now, I didn't know what to expect when I was going to the water tower for the first time. I had never been in a water tower before. I thought, wasn't it all full of water? But it's kind of, I don't know, it's an uneasy feeling when you go in there because you're standing there and you're thinking, there's a lot of water up there, a lot of weight. But so far there haven't been any leaks, so we've been good. But it's a gravel basin there, and we got this cabinet and started installing equipment in here. On top we have a couple speakers, so that and an amplifier for the speakers, and we have some headphones if we need them, so that we can. I'm getting that home here. Maybe it'd be better if I use this one. I think I'm doing okay. It's not harder this way. Where was it? Okay, when we're there, it's helpful to be able to monitor the sound that we're putting out. Because if we turn something off inadvertently and all of a sudden the sound stops, oh yeah, click, and we're back on. So we can listen to the audio. This is another, it's called a modulation monitor. We had one at the station that's just like this. This again is internet accessible. You can connect to it with a computer anywhere. And that's just monitors the signal. So we can make changes to the audio processing when we're here, and we can watch what it does up here. This is the audio processor. That makes us sound better. If you just take a straight audio signal, it sounds okay, but it sounds weak. Especially when you compare it to other radio stations that are nearby. Like next to us, we're 103.5, and there's one at 103.7 and 103.1 or 3. You listen to them, and their signal's really strong. And we're down here, so we put that audio processor in there, and it kind of pumps up the signal. It doesn't just increase the volume, it increases the bass, and it just makes it sound much better. Now, when I was configuring this monitor, I had it in my basement, and I hooked up to an antenna, and I was monitoring some of the other stations as well, and their signal was still higher than we are. We're at 100%. It's allowable. They're at about 105%. And apparently nobody is watching because they shouldn't be there. So they're broadcasting a little stronger signal than what they should. But that's the modulated monitor and the audio processor. And here's our transmitter. You saw the one on the table by itself. This is the other brick link on this end that gets the signal from the internet and passes it on to the transmitter. Here's a UPS. Now we have a UPS in there so that if there is a power problem, that wouldn't support all this equipment, especially the transmitter, for very long. But if it's a minute or 2 or 3, that UPS would carry all the equipment for that length of time. Anything that's very long, 20 minutes, that thing's not going to last. But we've got UPS equipment, and I don't know how many of you people, I have UPSs and a lot of stuff at my house. And it's helpful. Power here has gotten much better. We used to have many problems here in Sun City, and probably throughout Huntley. Years ago, I think before they built that transmission, electricity transmission facility across the tollway, electricity has gotten much more reliable since then. But they were always having problems at the station and at the water tower, so I've put UPSs on much of the equipment, so that eliminated many of those problems. And if there is a power problem, and occasionally it happens, if the power goes off, I get a text message to my cell phone. If the power comes back on, I get a text message. There's a lot of things that I've got configured so that if anything happens over there, I get text messages. So the computers that we have are pretty sophisticated and able to notify us when things are going bad. And then the top of the water tower, this is our antenna. Nice view. I didn't go up there. The guys, we hired an outfit to put the antenna up there, and they ran the cable down through the water tower and down, and then we connected it to our transmitter. I did assemble the antenna. It's a precision assembly. You need to use a torque wrench because you need to tighten it, so you crush the tubes just so much. Or if you crush them too much, then they just break. We got that, and then you can't see the little copper tips. Each of those has to be adjusted for the correct frequency. And we spent a lot of time with it on the ground, adjusting those so that we got it tuned as well as we could to the 101.5 frequency. Now people will look at that and say, well, is that part of the, no, that's not part of the antenna. That's part of lightning suppression. And you'll see on houses and barns around the area, you'll see these little points sticking up. And people, oh, okay, if the lightning comes, it's going to hit that and it can go to ground. No. That is only to bleed off static electricity that builds up in the tower or in those buildings. If lightning came and hit that would be gone. I never realized, well, I had realized the power of lightning, but one ham radio group that I belonged to, we had an antenna on top of a building someplace, and it got struck by lightning. And it was a fiberglass antenna that was probably, I don't know how many feet tall. Go up on that roof, and there was little pieces of fiberglass all over the roof. That thing just exploded. So this is just, and there's little fingers here that are very sharp, they're like knives. And the sharper they are, the better it will bleed off static electricity. So that this will not get hit by lightning. So we're hoping to protect the whole tower by having that up there. Now this is the HuntleyRadio.com website. Here's where you would click to listen now, and it shows when I click this, I can't see it from here, what was playing at that time. And if you choose to, you can click on there to donate to the station. The radio station exists only on donations. We don't sell advertising. We do have some sponsors, like Huntley Travel sponsors a show Travel on Man that Sam Giatti does. So we do get some money for that, but it's not selling advertising. Then you can get a list of the shows. There's also shows up here too. And that's at HuntleyRadio.com. And if you hover over the programs, this menu will drop down. And this you should. You can't read it up there. I'll sit over here. All the talk shows, music shows, specialty programs, and then we have one church, Music and the Message, that does a program on Sunday mornings. Some of them, Beatles Yesterday and Today, if anybody's into the Beatles, that's a good program. The Big Swing Time is Joe Alengo, he's a Sun City resident. He does big band, 40s music. Chainsaw's Polka Madhouse, if you're into polkas, it's an interesting name. Classical music at its best. Elgin Symphony Orchestra, they do a nice program. Gary's Music Hour, he's another Sun City resident. ECR Sports Roundup, that's a couple of Sun City residents, and there's 2 interns that do that. So there's a whole list of shows here. The Traveling Man that I mentioned before, Sam Giatti. So CK Sports Talk was, I think, the middle school students. So you get a list of all the shows, and if you click on one of those shows, you'll get a web page. You can see a part of. I clicked on Gary's Music Hour, and that was behind that. You can click on that button right there, and you can listen to that show. We podcast every show. So if there was a show that played 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago, they're all listed on that show's webpage. You can go to that show's webpage and scroll through the whole list of all the shows that have been recorded, and you can listen to any one of them. Now, the music shows you can't download, but some of the other ones, because of licensing issues, but some of the other ones, like the Centegra Lecture Hour, you know, there are some, Dr. Daniels that I hear is very popular amongst Sun City residents. He does hip and knee replacements. He had a very good show that he did. You could go there anytime, and you could download that or listen to it right away, and anytime you want. So check out some of the Centegra lectures, because there's some really good lectures on there, and any of the shows. But and this is the schedule. Again, on top, if you click on schedule, this is when things will be aired. And some shows will repeat.
It's a lot of work.
But did somebody have a question? I heard something.
So if the morning show is mostly just music now. At one time, we had Mike Cerner did the morning show. He came in, and this is an example of pre-recording things. He would come in at 5:30 in the morning and record a few, I don't know, 10 or 15-minute segments, and then drop them into the automation system. And they would play at like 7 o'clock and 7:30 and 8 o'clock and 8:30. And he'd be there from 5:30 to 6:15 or so, and he'd go home. And he could be at work and he'd listening to himself on his radio show. And people thought, well, you know, hey, Mike, you play nice music. Well, it wasn't him. It was the other guy that does the scheduling that actually scheduled the music. And Mike just dropped in his segments of talking, announcing community events and things like that. It was a nice program. But you know, with anything, everybody is a volunteer. So if people get tired of doing it, then they say, well, I think I might give it up for a while. So, but he's back with some other shows now. But the dorm room, I think, is the McHenry County College interns. So there's a good assortment of things, and there's something there for everyone. Now, it may not be the kind of thing you want to turn on and leave on all day, because you'll run into shows that maybe you won't care for. But I'm pretty impressed with it. Events that we've done, Radio in the Park on July 4th, high school football games, and 24-hour radiothon is usually in August. It's a fundraiser for us. We do get some donations. It's kind of like WTTW, you know, they do their thing where they're asking for money. Well, we broadcast during the daytime hours from the porch out in front of the radio station, and at night they move inside. They'd be eaten alive by the mosquitoes at the park. And then in the past, we've had a generous donor that has matched whatever was donated. He would match whatever it was, so we ended up doing pretty well with that. And that's about all I have. Listen to the Huntley Community Radio, 101.5 FM. We're online at huntleyradio.com. That's probably more than you ever want to know about the radio station, but I'm pretty proud of it. I'm glad I've gotten involved in it. And if other people have ideas for shows and that, you know, come forward and talk about it. Question?
These football games, they're not broadcast live?
Yes, they are.
Oh, they are, okay. Because you said everything was recorded.
My question was about the football games. They recorded broadcast live, and Ken said they were.
Yes. The football games are broadcast live, and then the radio in the park is broadcast live. But most of the programming throughout the year is pre-recorded. Occasionally, there's something that will happen live. But yeah, we have 2 or 3 guys up in the.
Why don't you everybody just sit down a minute? We'll be out of here in a minute anyway. So it makes it a lot easier if everybody stays seated. It doesn't get all the turmoil going. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Well, and in the press box, you know, there's guys that we have to bring a lot of equipment out there. And that's one reason why we don't do we only do home games. We don't do away games because we have to lug all this equipment out there and then do a site survey and things. And John's laughing because he's been involved in this at WGN. You have to go out and do a site survey and find out what kind of internet you have and if it's reliable. So yeah, we only do home games. We know what we've got there, and we can do that. And we have some wireless mics. We've got guys down in the field talking to the coach, and it's really an event. Okay, next question.
Ken, that's really great stuff. Thank you for that. I'm fascinated by the water tower. So they got the fill tube going up through the center, right? And then the supply tube coming down into that room, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really stayed there and analyzed that because I'm too busy working on this. But there is one big tube coming down the center.
That's
and
the
supply. I think that's the supply. I think the feed might go up the side. I'm not positive on that.
Isn't that room really wet?
No, it's very dry in there.
Fascinated by that. That's great.
But they and that pipe is insulated so it doesn't freeze. But they also have a little spigot on there that daily they go in there and they take a water sample and they test it. Now, in the wintertime, it gets very cold in there. There's no heat. So they have a little work light, a little reflector that they have on with just like a 100-watt bulb or something that's on that fixture to keep it from freezing. Otherwise, it would freeze up and it would be a big mess there.
Ken, is donations tax deductible? Are you a 503 or whatever they call you type of an organization?
Yeah, is it 501c3? I think.
Yeah. Are you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and by the way, Tony, I'm with you on Windows 10. I think it's good. I think we're scaring people away from something that doesn't exist, but.
Yeah, Ken, there's a rumor around that Huntley Radio could possibly do our softball games over at the park there. Is that a rumor? Is that true or what? Or in the pipe?
Well, that's maybe somebody's been talking to Alan about that. That's not something I've heard about. We would need an internet connection somewhere nearby there, unless we just came and recorded it to play later. But doing it live, I'm not aware of that.
Question back on Windows 10. With some help from the guys here, I did upgrade my drivers, and I was running Windows 8.1, and it was my feeling, Frank, that the club was kind of saying, yeah, Windows 10 is all right, go ahead and move to it. And I've done that, and it appears to be working, but I'm still in my 30 days. Is there any reason why I should go back? Certainly not to 8.1.
No, if it's working, and I would never go back to 8.1.
Well,
I hated 8.1.
Yeah, I kind of did too, so, okay.
Okay, one more question.
What's the yearly cost to run the radio?
I don't get directly involved in a lot of the costs. And I probably have seen the numbers, but didn't really pay attention because that's not my thing. It's the technical end of it is my thing. But yeah, we do pay some rent to the park district, and we have electric and Comcast, AT&T. So we do have some expenses. And I will say that we cut it pretty close. There's times when we got to hold off on buying this because we need to get some more donations. So money is tight at times.
What is your budget for yearly budget?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't get involved in the dollars and cents. I got enough with the technical stuff.
Okay, thank you, Ken. We appreciate it. And next time we do this, we'll have a longer lead time. This will be short term. We had this presentation finalized a week ago, so it wasn't really a long time. We had a problem, so we thank Ken for stepping up. So we'll see everybody next month. Thank you.
Same here, Wendell.